Hello and welcome to Healthy Mind and Healthy Life podcast that provides you with practical insights and expert advice to foster a lifetime of well-being. I'm your host Avik, and today we have a very special guest joining us. Please welcome Sheila Carroll, MD, a board certified pediatrician who is dedicated to helping children achieve their best health. So Dr. Carroll brings a unique approach to pediatric care by working exclusively with parents who are willing to focus on modifying their own behaviors to ultimately improve their child's health. So, with over 20 years of clinical medicine experience, she has witnessed firsthand the impact of lifestyle induced problems on children's well being. As a pediatrician and a certified life and weight coach, Dr. Carroll equips parents with the knowledge, tools, and skills they need to improve their child's health effectively. So she is not only help parents understand what actions to take, but also guides them on how to implement these changes in their daily life. So her mission is to empower parents to the parents they truly want to be, ensuring that their children receive the support and guidance needed for optimal physical and mental well-being. Through her expertise, she helps parents navigate the challenges of modifying behaviors, creating healthier habits, and building a nurturing environment for their children to thrive. So it's a lot to mention about her, but cut to short, we are really honored to have Dr. Sheila join us today to share her invaluable insights and practical strategies for parents who are committed to setting their kids up for a life of good physical and mental health. So, without further ado, let's dive into the empowering conversation on healthy mind and healthy life. Welcome, Dr. Sheila.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great, great. So, how was your day today, and how you're feeling here on this episode?
My day is going great. I'm over here in the United States in Maine, which is, kind of the Northeast. It's my day's going great. I went to the gym and here I am. I got my little son off to school and now I'm working.
Great, great. So there are a lot of things I would like to, have in my mind and want to understand from you. So what are the some key lifestyle habits that parents can adopt to promote their child's physical health, and how they effectively implement these changes in their daily routine? I mean, in their family's daily routine.
Mm. So this is a huge topic and but it's so important for parents to understand all the different angles which you can come at this to improve your child's physical health and mental health. So if we divided it into four big pillars of health, we would be looking at nutrition as one pillar, sleep as one, movement or exercise. And then the last one is emotional regulation skills. Sometimes adults use the word like stress management, but for kids, it's really learning to understand their feelings, accept their feelings, and feel your feelings. And that those four big broad topics are areas that parents can focus on and get educated on themselves if they need help. And once the parents learn the things that they need to know themselves, apply it to their own life, see the benefits that they're having from applying some of these strategies, then they can share them with their child by modeling the behaviors that they really want their child to see.
True, true. That's great. That's great. Because there will be few new parents also who have just become a parent. So for them, I guess this will be very much useful and helpful also. So so this episode is basically for them and for others as well. So I guess this is a very good topic, I would say, and you are doing great for this.
Well, we have parents, of babies, and then of toddlers, and then of school age kids, and then of teenagers. And that it just keeps changing. So the strategies and the approach, you take with a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old is going to be different than the strategies that you might need to use with your 15-year-old and 16-year-old. And first of all, it's never too early to start on really good health behaviors, and it's never too late to start. So that our kids, and so the reason why I work with parents instead of kids here in the US, like the medical system, especially in pediatrics, parents tend to bring their child to the doctor. For example, if you had a child struggling with extra weight, sometimes parents, because of the way the medical system recommends, they bring their child to the doctor, and the doctor will talk to the child about changing their habits, making more nutritious food choices, sleeping more, moving more. So the problem is for a child who's 8 or 10 or 15, they can listen to that, but then there's a gap of how do they actually implement that advice in their life. Kids can't do that by themselves. Frankly, us adults, we struggle to do that for ourselves, right? So, but this is why I chose to just work with parents, because the parents have the highly developed brain. Their prefrontal cortex, like the thinking part of our brain, the CEO of your brain, is completely functioning in grown-up adults after you're 25 years old. Before 25 or 26, kids struggle with this is what growing up is all about. Your brain is maturing. So kids do not have the capabilities of making these changes by themselves. So many kids here in the United States, think the last data is pre-COVID, so it's data from like 2019, but that's showing 1 in 5 adolescents struggling with extra weight, and it's probably even higher than that number now. So I guess what I'm trying to say is kids need their parents' help. They can't make these lifestyle changes by themselves. And so then it's, then depending on the age of your child and the personality of your child, that's why it's so wonderful to work with parents, because healthy habits and health is not a one size fits all. What works for one person or one family might not be great for another family. And so parents need some personalized help as to what is going to work well for them as the parents and also for their child.
Wow, that's great. That's really great, and it's true. It's true also. So so what happens is when we often hear about the importance of emotional intelligence in children.
Mm.
Now, how can a parent foster this emotional intelligence into their kids and also support their mental well-being, maybe from the early age? Like how?
Yes. So, my first thing that comes to my mind is, as parents, we approach our children understanding that they are going to thrive with our acceptance of them, with our full acceptance of them. And what that also means is acceptance of all of their emotions. And by us accepting them when they're having lots of emotions, good emotions, bad emotions, positive, negative, all of the emotions, the children will learn to accept themselves and accept their emotions. Let me give you an example. It's easy to do with like negative emotions. For example, if your child is angry, upset, frustrated, whatever, something that's hard sometimes for parents to manage. We sometimes feel very uncomfortable and we want that feeling to go away. Number one, it's hard for a parent to see their child upset, and it's sometimes triggering for the parent, and gets them all upset too. So, but there's so much to this, but one very foundational building block is that all emotions, we can teach our kids that all emotions are acceptable, and that we can learn skills to handle all of our emotions. I'm not saying like all behaviors are acceptable, for example, if you have two kids and one is super frustrated and one hits the other child, that's not a behavior you want to have going on. So you have to separate the behavior from the emotion and help the child understand the frustration that they're feeling, and also a better way to handle that frustration than whatever they chose to do previously. And that's a lot of we need to learn that as adults. I know that I work on that all the time for myself, even now. And that's part of the coaching framework I use, is as a parent and as just a human on the earth, I understand like that my thoughts are creating my feelings, and from my feelings it drives what I do or don't do, and that's creating my experience of my life. And so that is such a powerful, um, freeing and empowering understanding of a way to look at your life. It gets you away from blaming other people or blaming a circumstance, and it helps you really take control. And of course, kids are too little, their brains are too immature to have that. We call it a meta skill, thinking about your own thinking. Like, for example, I have a 11-year-old son named Theo, and he's sometimes can kind of understand when he starts to think about his thinking, but it's kind of an advanced skill for him. But I can help him. And so I can help him understand what's actually going on when he feels so frustrated. And I can tie it back. Okay, well, what thoughts are you having? What's causing this frustration for you? So that's, I think, and when we tie that into health, for example, emotional eating is a huge reason why so many grown-ups are struggling with their weight as adults. And when you realize like why you're feeling what you're feeling and how to actually feel your feelings instead of trying to like buffer them or make them go away by eating food or using social media or over shopping, over anything. Once you can understand your feelings and where they're coming from, it opens the door to creating habits on purpose that you want to have. So it's super powerful for health. Sorry, that was a lot.
That's actually explained in detail. So with this, like, so that there's an emotional thing attached with the mental health as well, and also to understand the child. But the next thing which comes into my mind is, nowadays we as a human being are more inclined towards the technology. So now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like I have seen a lot of parents allows their child with the mobile phones or maybe the technology, whatever it is. So technology and the screen time have become an integral part of children's life nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So how can parents strike a balance between allowing their children to engage with technology and also encouraging other activities that promote physical and the mental health?
Yes, this is a very challenging. I mean, this is what parents are dealing with. We are living in a very challenging world, us parents out there. We are living in a modern food environment that's very challenging to manage, and we are now living in this technology environment that it's very challenging to manage as well. So every child is different with how they respond to, or how they feel when they're using technology. So I guess my first practical strategy would be for the parents: pay attention, especially if your child's a little bit older, pay
Yeah,
attention to their mood. Like, how do they are they irritable? Are they sad when they get off social media? Are they angry? Are they, what's actually happening to them inside during the they might not be able to understand the connection between their use of the screen or whatever they're choosing to do and how they're actually feeling. So parents can pay attention to that. For me, for example, my son, he loves video games, and everything's going great until I tell him it's time to get off. And then then he struggles with that. And that's okay, because I understand what's going on in his brain. His these video games and these social media profiles and Instagram and all the scrolling, they're designed to keep us interested. They're designed to keep us going. And our human brains, this is the same exact thing with food. This is our current, food system is designed, the modern foods that have so much added sugar, so many extra calories, so, it's not whole, real, unprocessed foods, but the extremely highly processed foods, they are designed to hit our human brain in a way that gives us a huge pleasure response. So we are having a big dopamine spike from that. And evolutionarily, as humans, our body has been, oh my gosh, this is good for me. I should keep doing this. Oh, that was really good. And so it's the same thing in social media, or the same thing with the screen. We are getting pleasure from that, and it's triggering these pathways in our brain which are telling us to keep doing it. So once parents understand what's going on with their child, there's nothing wrong with your child. There's nothing wrong with my son that he wants to keep playing. It's normal. It's his normal brain. So parents can come at it like that, but also with boundaries of, well, what's our screen time? What's our policy as a family? And this is something where parents can really model the right behavior, or the correct, or whatever the right word you want to choose is. You as a parent need to model the behavior and the values that you want your child. If you're scrolling all day on your phone, your child is watching you do that. And so you need to decide as a family, what's our policy going to be, how much screen time. And then I think, just like I said, helping your child connect how they actually feel, emotionally feel, physically feel. Because when you're sitting down, using the screen or video games for 5 hours in a row, you're if you take a moment to tune into your body, you might realize you don't feel physically that great because you haven't moved very much. But this is a full-time job. This is the work of us parents. It takes effort to all of these moving pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility, I would say, but in a good thing, for good thing. So
Yes, yeah. It's a necessary thing, because if we don't address it, and we don't, try to work on it or manage it, it is harmful for our kids. It's harmful for them. Number one, the content of what they're seeing is a whole nother topic. But just being so sedentary, being so distracted, being not connected to another real person in real life, that's harmful. That's been not great for our kids. So
yes,
our kids are going to have to learn how to figure this out, because these screens aren't going away, and schools, at least here in the US, more and more and more are using technology. So we're telling them they have to be on these screens to do their work. So we just have to figure out a way to help our kids thrive, notice when they're not doing well, if they're using too much screen time, and just help them put all the pieces together.
correct. That's true. That's true. So as a pediatrician and life coach, you have extensive experience working with the parents. So from there, like, have you ever come with some common challenges or the barriers parents face when trying to implement this healthy lifestyle changes for their children, and how can they overcome them?
Yes, there's a lot of common challenges that parents are facing. And it depends on the age too of your child. And as your child ages and they have more freedom and they're roaming around more, and you do lose some degree of control. If you have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, you can be really in really good control of what they eat, all of their healthy habits. And but as they age, you lose some of that. They go to school, and then they're offered different foods and different things there. So I think, for parents, my first advice, or my first thing that I think is helpful, is just really understanding the modern food environment that we're in. And I kind of already talked about it when we were talking, about the screens, but the highly processed foods, these ultra processed foods that, I don't know about in India, but here in the US, we are eating, kids are eating most kids, the vast majority of their calories coming in per day are coming in through ultra processed foods. And there's problems with that, because, well, a lot of problems with it, but one way to look at it is, our human bodies were not designed to handle these foods. We can't process the amount of sugar, and it's not just glucose. So table sugar, and most parents, I think, at this point, or most people at this point, know, oh, I need to avoid high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is not great for me. I think, at least, here it's even labeled on. It's like it's labeled on packaging as like it's a good thing for a product. Like, we don't have any high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is about 55% fructose, and the rest is glucose. But regular table sugar has 50% fructose in it as well. So these foods with added sugars that we're buying, because they taste amazing, our kids like to eat them, they're super convenient, they're often very affordable, And most importantly, like the kids will just eat them without giving you a hard time. Or the kids will eat them easily. And so at least as a parent, you feel like, well, at least my kid is eating something. Um, but our bodies were not designed to handle these foods. And so what's happening is, well, a lot of things are happening, but if you're storing extra weight, if you can't, so you're storing this energy. Sometimes you're storing it in a healthy place in your body, but sometimes you're storing it in an unhealthy place. And so our kids are developing sometimes metabolic diseases, diseases that used to be reserved for adulthood, like type 2 diabetes or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So I think it's important for parents to understand the role of food choices and how our brains are working. We like to eat those because they taste so good. And like we mentioned, it's triggering that dopamine reward system. So once you know that and you understand, then you can make a different choice as the parent. If you have a teenager, they can make a different choice if they want to, but they may not want to, right? And so this is the work. This is the work that parents need to do. How
But
do we?
how can they miss those candies, those different shaped candies? So
Yeah, I know. So in my opinion, the thing to do is education. We don't want to be super controlling of our kids. I don't like to be controlled by anyone. I'm sure you don't either. Nobody does. It's human nature. We don't want that. So what do we want? We want to help our kids. And the best way to help them is to accept them as they are, but also to guide them. And so we can have conversations with them about, like, for example, what I just explained. We can explain to our child, oh, these foods, even though they taste great, this is what they're doing to our bodies. And at the same time, we also have to understand that they may continue to make choices we wish they didn't make. That doesn't mean that parents should give up and stop or get mad. All I say to myself all the time, okay, I'm just not giving up. If I cook something that my son doesn't like or he doesn't want to eat, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just not giving up. And I try again, I try something else. But oh, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But I think parents can really, when a parent understands and is fully educated as to, how do people gain weight? What is the basic science? It can be very simple to understand the science of weight gain, the science of weight loss, and how our bodies work. We want to be able to teach this to our kids. So as they age, as they become 14, then 16, 18, 19, 20, more and more and more, they'll understand it. And so in their early 20s, they'll have a full understanding, and that is going to save them decades and decades of struggle and trying to figure things out on their own.
yeah, that's true, because so parent-child communication actually plays a vital role in supporting a child's mental health. So, could you share some strategies for parents to create an open and maybe supportive environment where their children feel comfortable discussing their emotions and seeking help whenever needed? Because I have seen a lot of children, or maybe not the adolescent, but maybe who near to their teenagers, or maybe after 18 also, so they feel like whatever they are doing, that's the great, but somehow they do not feel comfortable of sharing things about themselves with their parents. So in that case, like, any strategies you have that parents can apply so that their children or the child feels comfortable and they share everything with their parents.
Yes, for sure. And one strategy is listening, for the parents to be just able to be quiet, talking less, even though I am talking so much on this podcast. I'm
That's
being a
really
very good example. But we tend to, as parents, we tend to want to solve our child's problem, especially if you are so tied to your child's emotions that when your child's upset, you're upset. There needs to be a little bit of a gap between the parents and the child's emotion. Your child's emotion is their own emotion. I don't have to be upset that my child is upset. So when parents understand that, then they can be, I think of it sometimes as like a home, a safe, warm, cozy home for your child to come to. And that your child comes to you if they have a problem, and you don't even have to ask. You can just be quiet, and if they start to talk, you can just listen. Most kids are not really, they might ask you for advice. If they ask you for advice, fine, then give your advice. If they don't ask for their advice, what they're really looking for is for you to listen to them and empathize with them and validate their experience. Wow, that must be really hard for you. How are you handling that? Then you can ask questions, but not to like get more details of the situation or to problem solve, but to see how whatever they're talking about is really impacting them. So kids feel so connected to their parents when they feel accepted, and that they won't be judged and they won't be punished, and they won't lose anything. If they feel like, oh, if I tell my parents this, they might be not happy with me, and then I'll be, I might go down in their self-esteem, in their eyes. They might think less of me. So if we can send that message to our kids, like, I think the message as young as possible. I started saying this to my son before he could even talk, but you are already 100% valuable and 100% worthy. There's nothing you need to do in this lifetime that's going to make you more valuable. And there's nothing that you can do that's going to make you less valuable. That cup is full. It won't take one more drop, and you can't take anything out of it. And so from that place of a child really seeing that their parent understands their 100% valuableness, then that child is free to explore, grow, evolve, try things. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't work out, but when kids feel that they have to achieve things, certain grades, certain appearance, uh, status, for whatever reason, if kids feel that they have to do things for their parents' approval, for their parents' love, that's very, very challenging it's challenging for any of us, right? So that's very challenging for kids. So as parents, that's something we can do to help them on their mental health, is just love them and support them as they are, and be like a safe, warm home base for them.
True. How lovely you have explained this. Like, I was just listening to you, and it's really, it actually matters. Like children then only will feel comfortable to share their feelings, their inner details, once they feel that if I'm sharing this, my parents gonna listen to me and they will not judge me. and it will be kind of a friendly relation. So it actually matters. So obviously, so I was just
And
listening.
and if your child chooses not to share something with you, as
Yeah,
the parent, you don't have to take that personally. It doesn't mean you're not a good parent. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It has nothing to do with you. Right then and there at that moment, for whatever reason, your child decided to not tell you about something. That is totally fine too. So it's just yeah, it's this supportive, there's a really good phrase that we use called supportive parenting, which is really providing your child with a lot of empathy and compassion and confidence, and meaning like, I believe you can handle this. I believe you can handle. You don't need me to solve all your problems for you. I'm here for you. I'm listening. I'll help you if you ask for it, but I know you can do it too.
true. That's the motivation actually. Correct. So we often talk about self-care, often for empathized for adults. Now it's also very equally important for the parents too. So how can a parent prioritize their own well-being while also nurturing their child's physical and mental health? So how they will balance
The
between?
two things go perfectly together, honestly, because the best thing for your child, even if it's a teenager, the best thing is for your child to see you prioritizing your own care. And so you getting the right amount of sleep, you regulating your own emotions and managing your own emotions and managing your mind, you choosing healthy food, and getting some exercise every day. So it it's it takes two things. It takes time, it takes effort, and it's a priority that we just have to. I think I think the biggest thing, more and more and more, what I'm seeing and coming to realize is this modern world that we're living in, while it's awesome, and I mean, but it's unhealthy. It can be super unhealthy for us if we just take the easy way every single time, and only eat the things that are that taste amazing all the time. You know what I mean? Like, yes, of course we want to have super healthy food, but healthy food can be taste really good too. But yeah, I guess I just want people to understand, like, the world that we are living in is not setting us up for optimal health, because our ancient human bodies are about several thousand years lagging behind the technology and the food system today, and even like when you talk about sleep, and the light from computers, the lights we have in our house, electricity, so amazing, but affecting our bodies in ways that are damaging our sleep. When we don't get good sleep, our stress levels go up, our cortisol level goes up, our hunger hormones are messed up, and and it leads to poor health. It leads to inflammation. It's so while it's amazing, we just have to understand where we're at, how we're living. And if we want to feel good, and for our kids, what we're really looking for is, we want to teach our children to want to live a healthy lifestyle, number one, so that they can enjoy their life and not be burdened by health consequences, which will eventually creep up to all of us, mostly, unless you're super lucky, if we don't pay attention to the things that our body needs.
Correct. That's true. That's true. So, like, we can always seek help from the professionals. So, seeking help from the professional or maybe the guidance can be beneficial in supporting a child's well-being. So, what are the resources and support are available for parents who may need assistance in kind of navigating their children's physical and mental health journey?
Yeah, there's just so much available now, especially with like what you and I are doing. I can't, it still blows my mind that you're in India and I'm here in the US and we're just chatting like we're together, And so there's so many resources available to parents. Sometimes I think parents think I should be able to figure this out by myself, or I don't need help, or I don't even know where to get help. But so I think most parents, if you have a child, most parents have a doctor, have a pediatrician, or a family doctor. You can start there. You can figure out some strategies for yourself as well, and see how that translates to your child's health. But it would just depend on what you think your individual child is most struggling with. I mean, there's just so many amazing books and podcasts, and it's, the podcasts are all free. I never listened to podcasts until about 5 years ago. And so there's so much information and there's so much free stuff out there that I think parents can really benefit from.
Yes, yes, and like yes, there are a lot of resources available in the market as we have mentioned, and also people can like choose the podcast, books, maybe videos which are free on YouTube, and
Yes,
there
yeah.
are a lot of other ways as well, and also help from someone who is professional like you, so they can
Yeah.
definitely reach out to professionals. And I'll request, like, if you definitely want to connect with you, so for sure connect with her.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my life changed when I found life coaching. At first, to tell you the truth, I'm a Western trained doctor. We are very like, uh, what's the right way to put it? We are not about woo. We're very, practical, I guess, is one way to put it. And when I first heard the term life coach, I was like, what the heck is that? I didn't know what it was. But I'll just explain to parents what it is. It's a person. Well, it can mean different things to different people, but how it is for me, and the practice that I have go through with my clients, it's helping clients, the parents, understand their thinking and how their current thinking is creating their current experience of the world. Because, we have 60,000 thoughts going through our brain a day. And sometimes we think our thoughts are facts. Like, that guy is a jerk, or that guy is not good. Well, it turns out that's your thought. That is not a true fact. So if that thought is causing you a lot of pain, well, let's use an example, for example, with parents and kids. Oftentimes, parents of kids who are struggling with extra weight, they have a lot of fear. I'm so worried about my child. I'm so worried they're going to have health consequences. I'm so worried they're going to be bullied, or they won't find a partner, or they'll be discriminated against. So lots of fear and worry. And instead of trying to problem solve for that by fixing and changing the child right away, one way to make a coach would help a parent feel better by helping that parent understand how the thoughts that they're currently having are creating their fear, their negative experience of the fear, and from fear, how do you act, and how do you support your child from fear? And so the power of coaching is to realize that our thoughts are optional, and if you don't like the current thoughts that you're having, first you have to become aware of them, and second, you can work on changing them. You could go from, I'm so worried about my child, to, my child is fine right now, everything is okay. That is going to give you a much different experience of your day-to-day life as the parent of that child, versus, I'm so worried and I'm, stressed out about my child. So that's the power of coaching. How I came to coaching through weight loss for myself. I lost 45 pounds through coaching, by figuring out like why I was eating, my thoughts, my feelings. And honestly, I signed up for coaching for weight loss, but it changed my whole life. Meaning, like, because you can apply this to any aspect of your life. I just love it. I think parents, I think it's every parent should understand coaching, because honestly, then parents will be able to teach it to their children. And then that is going to be a life skill that is going to open up so many doors for your child, and just, they can be free. They can be free to be who they want to be when they really understand their thoughts and their feelings. It's so powerful.
So that's the insights I was talking about, guys. Like, thank you for joining on this insightful episode of Healthy Mind and Healthy Life, where we actually explored the empowering topic of nurturing the physical and mental well-being in children through the guidance, obviously, of parents. So we are always grateful to our guest, Dr. Carroll, for sharing her expertise and shedding light on the essential role that parents play in setting their kids up for a life of good health. So, as parents, caregivers, and the individuals invested in the well being of children, so we now have a deeper understanding of the impact our actions and behaviors have on our children's physical and mental health. So, by implementing these strategies and tools shared by Dr. Carroll, so we can create a positive environment and promote growth, resilience, and happiness in our children's life. So always remember that it's not just about the individual actions we take as parents, but also about the fostering open communication, teaching emotional intelligence, like Dr. Carroll was speaking about. So setting those healthy boundaries and with the technology, and also prioritizing the self-care of ourselves. So together we can empower our children to lead balanced life and equip them with the skills they need to navigate the complexities of the world. So we encourage you to apply these insights from these episodes you have learned in your life and share them with the fellow parents and the caregivers you know. By working together, we can definitely create a collective environment towards the nurturing the physical and mental health of our children. So thank you once again for joining us on Healthy Mind and Healthy Life. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for future episodes filled with practical tips and expert advice to support your journey towards a healthier and happier life for you and your loved ones. So remember, a healthy mind leads to a healthy life. And thank you, Dr. Carol, for joining on this show and sharing all your insights and your knowledge with us. It really means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for having me on your great show.
Thank you.